During the Titanic shipwreck investigation, researchers made a perplexing discovery. At the ocean's depths, they found a stark contrast between the front and back sections of the ship. The front, or bow, was remarkably well preserved, while the rear, or stern, was in a terrible state. And notably, it was situated 2,000 feet away from the bow. Despite both sections being submerged at the same time for centuries, it was puzzling why there was such a divergence in their condition. Researchers believed that something other than the iceberg collision on that fateful night in 1912 had inflicted additional damage to the Titanic, particularly to its stern section. The lingering question was, what could this something else be? In 1912, on that tragic night when the Titanic met its fate, the ship was isolated 700 kilometers away from Newfoundland, Canada, in the dark expanse of the sea. A total of 2,240 people were on board during the incident, and tragically, 1,500 lost their lives. The ship, once touted as unsinkable, succumbed to the overwhelming forces of nature. The only witnesses to this disaster were those who managed to escape the ship and plunge into the cold waters of the Atlantic Ocean. These survivors were the sole bearers of the story, from the collision with the iceberg to the ship's sinking. No one else had any record of these events, and the survivors themselves fought against the frigid waters. The first rescue ship, the RMS Carpathia, arrived approximately an hour and a half after the Titanic's sinking. It was fortuitous that they received the Titanic's distress signal. Otherwise, those struggling in the cold water might not have survived. Without that signal, the world might never have learned of the Titanic disaster. Initially, during the investigation, there was uncertainty about what had transpired with the ship. However, survivors eventually revealed that the ship had indeed collided with an iceberg. This revelation was substantiated when they observed the iceberg at the scene, with traces of the Titanic's red paint still visible on it. Following the Titanic accident, investigators relied on both eyewitness accounts and evidence to piece together the events. The official investigation report initially claimed that the iceberg had caused a massive 300-foot hole on the Titanic's right side, essentially tearing open a third of the ship. However, this conflicted with an eyewitness's statement that the ship took nearly 2.5 hours to sink. The investigators found it perplexing that if the Titanic indeed had a 300-foot gash from the iceberg, it should have sunk rapidly, not over the course of 2.5 hours. The truth remained elusive at that time. To unveil the real story, finding the Titanic was crucial. The search for the Titanic continued over many years, and as time passed, the mystery deepened. Finally, after 73 years of searching, the discovery of the Titanic wreck marked a significant breakthrough in marine exploration. It was now time to seek answers to the questions left by the Titanic. At a depth of 4,000 meters in the Atlantic Ocean, the Titanic's wreckage had rested in total darkness for decades. Multiple expeditions were conducted, capturing numerous photographs of the shipwreck. Notably, oceanic explorer P.H. Nargeolet visited the Titanic wreck over 30 times, but never once found evidence of the alleged 300-foot hole. Instead, a profile photo of the Titanic displayed a 30-foot area with signs of impact covering only 11 square feet. Calculations indicated that this area could accumulate about 370 gallons of water every second. At this rate, it became apparent that the entire ship would have been inundated in about 2.5 hours, consistent with eyewitness accounts. This revelation solved the mystery, disproving the existence of a 300-foot hole and confirming only the presence of a 30-foot crack. Yet there remained another enigma to unravel. During the investigation of the Titanic shipwreck, researchers grappled with understanding a perplexing puzzle. Why was the front part of the ship, known as the bow, in considerably better condition than the back part, referred to as the stern. Moreover, what explained the significant distance between these two sections of the ship? To untangle this mystery, advanced sonar scanning technology was employed. Remotely operated vehicles, ROVs, captured hundreds of thousands of images of the Titanic's shipwreck site. These images were then transformed into a 3D model using computer graphics, revealing details imperceptible to the naked eye or standard cameras at such ocean depths. The 3D model unveiled a striking revelation. The 392-foot-long stern's decks were tightly nested within each other, creating the impression of a paper ship rather than a steel one. Various components separated from the ship were strewn about, with only two enormous engine structures remaining. The model also disclosed an important clue concerning the stern's condition. Notably, marks from when the stern hit the ocean floor 110 years ago remained visible in the 3D model. These marks indicated that as the stern descended, it was rotating in a counterclockwise direction at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour. The forces exerted by the water at this rapid rate led to the ship's loose parts breaking apart. Upon striking the ocean floor 4 kilometers below the surface, all the stern's decks collapsed into each other. In contrast, the bow section's hydrodynamic design allowed it to cut through the water effortlessly, akin to a ship parting the water as it moves forward. This design meant that the bow didn't rotate as the stern did, and it wasn't subject to the same direct water forces. Consequently, this revelation solved yet another mystery surrounding an incident that occurred over a century ago. However, one more question lingered. When did the Titanic split into two parts? The eyewitnesses were the source of the information that the ship had broken into two sections. For a long time, it was widely accepted that the Titanic had broken into two parts before it sank. This belief is partially accurate, but it doesn't tell the full story. When the bow section of the Titanic became flooded, it went underwater, causing the entire weight of the stern section to rest on the ship's pivot point, its center. This center point couldn't withstand the excessive weight, leading to it breaking and dividing the ship into two sections. However, the 3D model created through sonar scanning paints a different picture. The equipment and items inside the Titanic are scattered widely across the ocean floor, including coffee cups, dinner plates, chandeliers, deck benches, and personal belongings. Remarkably, around 90% of these items belong to the stern section. In total, over 10,000 items are spread across an area of approximately 3.2 square kilometers. If the stern section had separated from the bow section above the water, the debris would not have dispersed over just 3.2 square kilometers. It would have covered a much larger area, as demonstrated in animations. Therefore, experts now believe that this separation occurred above the water's surface. As the ship approached the ocean floor, it detached from the bow section and, while rotating, changed its direction, eventually coming to rest about 2,000 feet away. Today, the remains of the RMS Titanic have undergone extensive rusting. Scientists attribute this slow process to the limited oxygen supply at ocean depths. When rust samples were extracted and examined, it was discovered that bacteria-produced oxygen contributed to the rusting. Given the speed of this corrosion, experts anticipate that in the coming years, all the Titanic's floors will collapse onto each other, forever altering its original shape. Thank you for joining us on this deep-sea journey into the mysteries of the Titanic. We hope you found our exploration of the world's most famous shipwreck as fascinating as we have. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more captivating content. Your support fuels our quest for knowledge and adventure. Remember, the story of the Titanic is a testament to human curiosity and resilience. The ocean's depths hide countless secrets waiting to be uncovered, and we're excited to keep bringing those stories to you. Stay tuned for more incredible adventures and discoveries. Until next time, keep exploring and never stop seeking the unknown. Farewell.